Hey, everybody, what's up? It is the Original OC channel. Breaking news. Breaking news. We have an exclusive interview with Audemars Piguet CEO Ilaria Resta. Just published over the last 24 hours, and it's a blockbuster interview. She charts the strategy for AP going forward and her goals for Audemars Piguet. It's a very illuminating interview, and I think she may have well charted the course for AP to get back into the Holy Trinity. It is an amazing 16-minute interview. We will go through it in depth. We'll go through it word by word over the next 2 hours. And we will analyze it. We will scrutinize every single syllable that she has to say, but I think you'll find it quite entertaining. It's a window into her leadership, a window into the future of Audemars Piguet. And so it's going to be very, very good. By the way, there's a link that's pinned at the top of the chat. It is a direct link to support fire and disaster relief for those impacted by the Southern California wildfires. The charity has a 100% rating, a 4-star 100% rating. It'll bypass Google, bypass YouTube, and all of your donations will go directly to the philanthropic effort to support those impacted by the wildfires in Southern California. So you can super chat here if you want, but I highly, highly encourage you to donate with the link that's pinned at the top of the chat. I can monitor the donations coming in. So if you donate and you want to use your real name, it will get mentioned here. But this is all the funds go to direct relief, 100% charity, 100% rating as rated by Charity Navigator. No fake charities here. So if you want to support the fire and disaster relief in Southern California, that is the way that you could do it if you want to. But let's go through, let's see who's in the chat. Then in 5 minutes, we're going to start this exclusive interview with AP CEO Ilaria Resta. If you would like to join the panel with me for the analysis, the link is there in the chat. But this live stream is going to be 2 hours and 2 hours only. We're going to set a strict time limit. Let's just see if we can cover this interview in 2 hours. Hey, we got Logan Hall first. Good to have you with us, Logan. No. Sorry. Scratch that. Mr. Fahrenheit is first. Woo! Congratulations, Mr. Fahrenheit. Oh, sorry. I spoke too soon. Boston Collector first. There's no such thing as a 3-way tie, guys. Logan Hall is first. Logan Hall has the crown. By the way, if you're watching the live stream, please type in a comment in the chat so I can personally greet you. SE's in the chat. By the way, SE, Boston Collector, and Logan are all members of the Original OC channel. Thank you for being members. SE says, good evening, fellow AP enthusiasts. Yes, this show is dedicated to AP lovers around the world and AP's support for the fire and disaster relief efforts for those affected by the Southern California wildfires. Hey, we got Whole Milk in the chat. Whole Milk's a member as well. Strategy of AP going forward, creditor protection in bankruptcy. Get the fuck out of here, Whole Milk. AP has never been better. AP is stronger than ever, guys. And wait till you hear the strategy outlined by AP CEO Ilaria Resta. Fantastic vision and strategy for the future. And I think she demonstrates a supreme command of the issues of the organization and the priorities. And I think you'll agree with me. But we're going to go through this interview question by question, answer by answer, line by line, syllable by syllable. And we're going to scrutinize these answers. If you'd like to join me on the panel, the link is in the chat. Boston, why are you dropping misinformation like that? Come on. Ilaria is a very capable CEO. She came from the fragrance industry as well as a fantastic, very successful career at Procter & Gamble, where they groom leaders of tomorrow. Mr. Fahrenheit says video analysis coming up in 5 minutes. Correct. Guys, in only 5 minutes, we will begin playing you this exclusive interview with Ilaria Resta, AP CEO. Coming up in 5 minutes, but let's let people trickle in. Let's see if we can get to 25 people watching. If we get to 25 people watching, we will start the video. Over 20 people watching already. That's good. Guys, upvote the live stream. Please tap the thumbs up. Let's get to 15 likes. Let's get to 15 likes. But coming up in 5 minutes, we're going to start the interview and we're going to go through it. You don't want to miss it. Don't go anywhere. Exclusive interview with AP CEO Ilaria Resta. Fantastic insight into her vision, strategy, and goals for AP going forward. Let's see here. Let me just check a few more things. Awesome. Okay, cool. Here we go. Here, SE is upvote number 10. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's get to 15. Everybody watching, upvote the stream. Boston Collector says, breaking news, AP wants to make watches. Of course they do. But I think you'll be very intrigued to hear about her strategy about which watches they plan to make and why. And she does go into that in extreme detail. So if you're a fan of AP or a fan of the Swiss watch industry and you want to know, get some unique insight and analysis into where AP is going, then definitely stay tuned. Hey, we got Tan joining from Paris, France. What's up, Tan? Good to have you in the chat. He says, good evening, all. All right, I'm gonna start the interview. I know we're gonna get some people straggling in, but I think it's important that we start on time. We've got a 17-minute interview here, and it's chock full of very important and insightful information. Let me just say real quick that let me just drop the link one more time. If you'd like to donate, donate to Direct Relief, which is a 100% rated charity by Charity Navigator. I'm dropping a direct link in the chat that will go to directly to support those impacted by the wildfires in Southern California. And I want to acknowledge and thank Boston Collector. Boston Collector, $100 donation. $100 donation to Direct Relief for fire and wildlife relief for those impacted by the Southern California wildfires. Boston's note says, to all our friends in the Los Angeles crew, thoughts and prayers for safety for your family and friends. We support you during this difficult time, and for all those in your region. Thank you, Boston Collector. Boston Collector, $100 donation for Southern California fire and disaster relief. Thank you very much, Boston. Guys, keep those donations flying in. What has happened in Southern California is absolutely devastating. Thousands of people homeless, thousands of people without jobs, thousands that just left with the clothes on their back and their pets, and that's it. Just an absolute tragedy. So yeah, if you can give a little bit, thank you very much for that. The funds will bypass Google, they'll bypass YouTube, and they'll go directly to Southern California Fire Disaster Relief Campaign. By the way, on a personal note, I want to send a note of condolences to Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton, a very good dear friend of mine. One of her Malibu mansions was impacted in this tragedy. And while she does have many other residences, many other mansions in the area, listen, the loss of a mansion can be very, very difficult. And listen, I spent a lot of time with Paris in that particular Malibu mansion that's been destroyed. And my heart goes out to her. Best wishes to Paris Hilton. Again, who lost one of 3 of her Malibu mansions in the wildfires. And I have great memories there. So it's a loss for me as well. Here we go. Let's got a few more comments in the chat here. Evan G, my town's fire department is sending firefighters and other resources. It's cool to see the United States coming together when a disaster strikes. Yeah, this is something that's it's nonpartisan. Like, these wildfires didn't look for ethnicities, and they didn't look for races, and they didn't look for Democrats or Republicans. Although these neighborhoods are typically, these neighborhoods hit, some of them were very affluent neighborhoods. But there are a lot of people who were impacted, thousands and thousands of people who lost their jobs and who lost their homes in this situation. So a lot of people are in shelters, or a lot of people who are in hotels that just left with the clothes on their back, guys. Thank you, Mr. Fahrenheit, for the $20 donation to the Southern California Fire and Disaster Relief Fund. Really appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Fahrenheit. Appreciate it. We're up to $120, guys. We don't have a goal per se. Just, don't super chat the live stream. Click on that link that's pinned at the top of the chat if you want to do something to support today's show. I'd feel much better if you just support those who are impacted by the wildfires in Southern California. The wildfires were clearly very clearly were Barry Goldwater voters. Yeah, I don't think they took. I don't think the fires. What was crazy was the winds, those Santa Ana winds. 80, 90, 100 mile an hour gusts that made these fires unmanageable. All right, but enough about that. Let's talk about a little bit about AP's strategy for the future and how they're going to get back into the Holy Trinity. If you'd like to join me on the panel, then I'm going to drop a link to the panel in the chat if you want to do the analysis with me. God forbid you don't want to hear me talking about this interview and giving my analysis, because I've only been in the hobby for like 4.5 months. I don't really know anything about watches. I don't know anything about companies. I know very little about business. So probably get some people on the panel who know far more than I about the Swiss watch industry. All right, let's do it. I'm going to put myself down here. Let us begin the interview with AP CEO Ilaria Resta.
Growth is not part of the value equation for them. For the family, this is not the main value. It's growth comes as a consequence of other much more important choices that we have to take. So there is not an intent or a chasing of numbers, revenues, profit. There is an intent to truly to preserve the mechanical watchmaking, the expertise, also the where we are. There is no intention to move from the Vallée des Joux, which is on the Jura Mountains where we were born, where a lot of watchmakers were born, other companies. And there is an attachment to the territory, an attachment also on the way of doing watches of the old centuries. The system was called Système d'établissage, and Audemars Piguet was basically the company doing some sort of project management. I am overly simplifying, taking components of what.
So far, I got to say that she possesses an extreme knowledge of the subject matter, which is great. She's responding to a question about what's your strategy to grow the company? And her answer is, listen, we don't care about growth. Growth is the byproduct of making an incredible product. Growth is the byproduct of a quality product. We're going to be focused insanely and intently on quality. And when we do that, we'll get organic growth. But we don't want to grow just for growth's sake. We want to grow organically and slowly, but the main thing is we want to grow because we make high quality products. We'll listen to that part again.
Growth is not part of the value equation for them. For the family, this is not the main.
Growth is not part of the value equation.
Value. It's growth comes as a consequence of other much more important choices that we have to take. So there is not an intent or a chasing of numbers, revenues, profit. There is an intent to truly to preserve the mechanical watchmaking, the expertise, also the where we are.
It's about the watchmaking expertise and the commitment to support Swiss watchmaking. She's talking about Vallée des Joux.
Is no intention to move from the Vallée des Joux, which is on the Jura Mountains where we were born, where a lot of watchmakers were born, other companies. And there is an attachment to the territory, an attachment also on the way of doing watches of the old centuries. The system was called Système d'établissage, and Audemars Piguet was basically the company doing some sort of project management. I am overly simplifying, taking components of watchmaking from the different families and small companies around in the Vallée des Joux and assembling into the final product. This idea of a collaboration with a multitude of experts in their field has always been part of the history of Audemars Piguet.
And when you say
very, very good answer, very insightful answer. They don't care about growth per se. They care about making products in the tradition and consistent with the legacy of fine watchmaking going back centuries.
Say that growth is a consequence of other choices that you make, what are the 2 or 3 most important choices that you will make in the
Here we go. So if you're going to get organic growth, how are you going to achieve organic growth? going forward?
coming years?
The first and the base is extreme obsession.
What are the 2 or 3 most important choices that you will make in the coming years?
The first and the base is extreme obsession for quality. Quality across a very long process from production all the way to the service after sale that can last centuries, because we follow the watch for as many years the watch exists, and the watches exist for multiple centuries, right? So we need to be able to service or repair a watch that comes back to us in any time. And very often we receive watches that are completely out of production. Sometimes we don't even have the technical drawings, so we need to reconstruct how the movement was done and develop not only the movement and the components of the movement, but sometimes even the tools like the screwers to adjust the movement.
So in a way, you're
not only the movement and the components of the movement, but sometimes even the tools.
Okay, so she's obviously very focused on quality. She says, "How are you going to achieve organic growth? By an insane focus on quality."
Like the screwers to adjust the movement.
So in a way, your client is the watch.
Our
not
client
the clients, because the actual owners could change
Absolutely.
over the lifetime of that watch generationally.
We feel the accountability and the responsibility to keep this heart, I call it, alive forever. And it's the watch.
The ticking heart of a
and
watch.
it's ticking heart, and it's the whole, of course, other elements of the watch are critical, like the bracelet. Sometimes certain type of bracelets are just, there is a form of usure, it gets consumed over time. And we try to reproduce certain bracelets in the very same way that originally were intended to be designed.
So that's one choice. Are there other choices that you?
Okay, so very good follow-up question, like trying to pin her down. Like, okay, so you're focused on quality. It's kind of a general answer there. What else is there? Great follow-up.
You will make that you think are more important than just growth?
Innovation. So innovation is, we have a step in the past and another step in the future. The future is
Excellent answer, Ilaria. I love it. I mean, she seems extremely capable. What a great, she has an incredible handle on the company, its history, its legacy, and the path forward to get back into the Holy Trinity. Listen, quality. We want to focus on the old school tradition of watchmaking that made us one of the best in the world. And number two, we're going to innovate. We're not just going to focus on ancient techniques and legacy methods and tradition. We're going to focus on innovation for the future. So let's see how she defines innovation. But let me first catch up on the chat. Got Evan G. We got Mathis in the chat. Whole Milk is here with us. Bobby Dazzler is with us. Mr. Tutor to use in the chat. What's up, guys? We've got 30 people watching. Let's get to 20 likes. Guys, 20 likes. And I do want to remind everyone that we do have a direct link to help those impacted by the Southern California wildfires. This link bypasses me, it bypasses Google, it bypasses YouTube, goes directly to a 100% rated charity by Charity Navigator, one of a 4-star rated charity. So thank you to Boston Collector and to Mr. Fahrenheit, who've already donated. Please consider supporting those impacted by the Southern California wildfires. By the way, I want, on a personal note, a couple of dear friends of mine, Chrissy Teigen and John Legend. Chrissy Teigen and John Legend. I want everybody watching to know that they're okay. Unfortunately, they did have to pack up and evacuate one of their Beverly Hills mansions yesterday, but they are safe. They had to suddenly and inconveniently leave one of their Beverly Hills mansions without very much notice, and they gathered up their 4 dogs, and they're now, thankfully, in the penthouse of the Beverly Hills Hotel. It is a big inconvenience because it's only 2,400 square feet, and they do have 4 dogs. So, guys, the impact to those in Southern California is real. Shout out to my good friends Chrissy Teigen and John Legend. Hope you're doing okay. Hope you're safe, and I hope you can be okay. Listen, I know the penthouse at the Beverly Hills Hotel isn't big. It isn't lavish. I've stayed there multiple times, especially with 4 dogs. But I know it's tough. And I mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, but dear friend of mine, Paris Hilton, lost one of her Malibu mansions this week. A place where she and I made a lot of memories, to be honest. Really fantastic memories, Paris and I, in that particular Malibu mansion. So I'm devastated. But guys, seriously, a lot of great people impacted by this tragedy in Southern California. Boston Collector says Ilaria shows how she will run AP with class and sophistication, while other brands are run by tasteless pigs feeding their egos. Good point. I don't disagree with that. We've got Evan G in the house. Says the Council of Patek Philippe, Vacheron, and the Illuminati has convened, and they have recognized AP's desire to be part of the Holy Trinity again, and will put forward a series of trials by combat. But let's listen more about how Ilaria wants to pursue innovation for AP.
Certain bracelets in the very same way that originally were intended to be designed.
So that's one choice. Are there other choices that you will make that you think are more important than just growth?
Innovation. So innovation is, we have a step in the past and another step in the future.
The future.
The future is innovation on 3 main axes. There is the innovation on mechanical watchmaking. So for us, we push forward the development of new complications, new calibers, but also on the existing complication, we work on what we call ergonomy, which makes it more intuitive, the usage, the setting, or simply going ultra thin and combining more complications in a smaller space. Then there is innovation on materials, and we are obsessed about developing new materials, discovering new materials, patenting new materials. From carbon, forged carbon. We have just launched a gold called the sand gold, which is a wonderful color that changes with the light. So this is another area for us of interest. And last but importantly is also decoration, because the way we decorate a watch requires also an innovative approach. And we go back to métier d'art that belongs to in the industries like jewelry or watchmaking, but also fashion. So we have a wide spectrum of inputs for innovation.
And you came out of Procter & Gamble. You were very...
Okay, so that's an extremely insightful answer. And it was actually quite detailed for a CEO, because she named 3 main prongs for innovation. She talked about movements, complications, and there was an A and a B. It's new complications, pushing the envelope on new complications, but also fine-tuning and perfecting existing complications. And then she talked about innovation in materials. So those are things like bulk metallic glass and ceramic and forged carbon and things of that nature. And then the third thing was decoration, which includes movement finishing as well as gem setting and design. So I think that is an extremely detailed answer for a CEO to give, but it shows that she has an incredible command of the strategy. And obviously, that each one of those points trickles down to specific strategies and tactics underneath for the organization, for the different department heads. But a great answer by Ilaria Resta, AP CEO. Innovation is one of the keys to achieving organic growth. Innovation in the complications, innovation in materials, and innovation in decoration. Does anybody have any questions or comments about that? By the way, if you want to jump on the panel and help analyze with me, I'm just kind of regurgitating what she said and re-encapsulating what she said. But if you want to join the panel, and boom, there is the link. I also want to remind people that pinned at the top of the chat is a link to support Southern California Fire Disaster Relief. It goes directly to the charity. Vimal's in the chat. What's up, Vimal? Boston Collector says forged carbon and sand gold Royal Oaks coming. She just mentioned those as examples, but clearly you can see that she's focused on new materials, and I think AP does show that they're a leader in that. Bulk metallic glass, ceramic, white ceramic, colored ceramic, carbon, all kinds of things. So I think she's spot on, and she has an incredible grasp of the business. Buckley says, I didn't hear anything tuned in 30 seconds ago, but I'm sure everything she said is bullshit. Actually not. Actually, it was quite insightful. She talked about innovation in complications, materials, and decoration. And we'll rewind it just a little bit, and we'll catch up.
Across a very long process from production all the way to the service after sale, to service or repairing. So we need to reconstruct, but sometimes even the tools.
The watch.
Our clients have the responsibility to keep this
heart
and it's sticking art, and sometimes in the very same way that originally were intended to be designed.
So that's one choice. Are there other choices that you will make that you think are more important than just growth?
Innovation. So innovation is, we have a step in the past and another step in the future. The future is innovation on three main axes. There is the innovation on mechanical watchmaking. So for us, we push forward the development of new complications, new calibers, but also on the existing complication, we work on what we call ergonomy, which makes it more intuitive, the usage, the setting, or simply going ultra thin and combining more complications in a smaller space. Then there is innovation on materials, and we are obsessed about developing new materials, discovering new materials, patenting new materials, from carbon, forged carbon. We have just launched a gold called the sand gold, which is a wonderful color that changes with the light. So this is another area for us of interest. And last but importantly is also decoration, because the way we decorate a watch requires also an innovative approach. And we go back to métier d'art that belongs to the industries like jewelry or watchmaking, but also fashion. So we have a wide spectrum of inputs for innovation.
Great answer. On to the next question.
And you came out of Procter & Gamble. You were very successful there around the world. What were the lessons that you learned at Procter & Gamble that do apply, perhaps surprisingly to many people, to Audemars Piguet or selling or marketing or values?
Many. I owe to P&G everything I am today a lot. First of all,
P&G, where future leaders are born. Procter & Gamble, where you learn how to lead. You learn how to become an executive and lead brands.
It's a school of leadership. So you learn to manage business units, no matter what the product is. You need to get nailed down the business.
Don't need to know what the product is, even though she has a masterful grasp of the company and the product. You don't really need to know, because this is it's a methodology of executive leadership and strategy.
It's a school of leadership. So you learn to manage business units, no matter what the product is. You need to get nailed down the business model and the value equation for that business model and create value. With, of course, the pressure, unlike where I am today, of quarterly results.
Yeah, that was a very quarterly earnings growth.
Oh, what a great point she makes. What a great point. At P&G and other public companies and a lot of other organizations, you are under severe short-term pressure. You're under a lot of pressure to achieve short-term goals. And she's clearly saying here at AP, there is no pressure on short-term goals. They don't have to worry quarter by quarter about what they're doing. It's a privately owned company. And she's been given carte blanche to do what's right for the long term. And she doesn't have to worry about this week or this month or this quarter. She can set forth a strategy, a long-term strategy for what's right for the company, and those results will pay off in time. Great insight into a very important point.
Model and the value equation for that business model and create value. With, of course, the pressure, unlike where I am today, of quarterly results.
Yeah, that was a very quarterly earnings growth.
Yeah, it's a publicly traded
company. Almost the opposite of a family-owned business that wants to preserve value.
Yeah, the opposite.
So what are you managing or leading for? Because again, Procter & Gamble, the imperative was earnings growth. That was a very clear directive. That's what you're managing everyone toward. With Audemars Piguet, what is the unifying message?
Is the culture. And is the unifying culture.
The culture. The culture is the most important thing. The culture. Let's hear exactly what about the culture is so important.
Aimed at creating and fostering an environment where innovation is king. Where
Yes! You got it. We want people to be able to innovate. We want to empower everybody to be their best. That's what the culture of AP is all about. She's fucking nailing it, guys. She's absolutely nailing it. I have every confidence that AP will be back in the Holy Trinity in lickety split under her leadership. Boston Collector says AP is a family, not a company. Correct. It's a family atmosphere. It's a culture of family and friends. It's not a business. Don't look at it as a business, guys. This is about preserving a legacy and a tradition of watchmaking, but looking forward to the future with innovation in movement technology, in engineering, in materials, in decoration. Listen to what she's saying, guys. This is the future. She's hitting it on all cylinders. By the way, if you want to donate to the Southern California disaster relief, the link is pinned at the top of the chat. Thank you very much to Boston Collector and Mr. Fahrenheit, who've already donated. Thank you very much. Bypasses me, bypasses Google, and bypasses YouTube. Let's continue on, because this is a great answer.
Is the culture, and is the unifying culture aimed at creating and fostering an environment where innovation is king.
Yes.
Where people can contribute no matter what they are in the organization.
Exactly.
It's a very horizontal organization of Piguet, where the key heroes are the watchmakers.
Yes.
And it's been proven over the centuries.
Heroes.
When you give space to watchmakers to innovate and they have a voice, they come up with the best possible ideas. In this,
give them the freedom. Give them the freedom to do what they want to do and let them run with it. Give them autonomy. Autonomy to innovate, unburdened by short-term goals and financial incentives. Just do whatever is right for the company.
Organization, you cannot be a pyramidal leader where you stay on the top in your office, closed down, and you let the others work. You need to I am a big fan of my circular leadership approach, which is being in the center.
Circular logic, guys. She's a big fan of circular logic, circular decision making, circular leadership. Circular leadership. You heard it here first, guys. She's not sitting on top of the ivory tower with her door closed and forcing everybody else to do the work. She is at the center of it all. And you can, it's an open door policy.
Close down and you let the others work. You need to. I am a big fan of my circular leadership approach, which is being in the center of the organization and open the doors to people to contribute to your vision, to your innovation. And the watchmakers are absolutely the heroes for us. They need to have a voice and they need to have a contribution.
What she's saying is the product is king. The people who design the product, the people who make the product, the people who are in charge of the product are the people who are most important in the company, not the salespeople. The salespeople don't matter. The marketing, it's not really that important. It's about the product and the watchmakers, what they want to do, where they want to take the company.
And this is true for every function.
What are some things that you've learned or surprised you about serving or understanding wealthy clients that perhaps is different, or working on an ultra luxury brand?
Woo! Awesome question. Great question. Great question, because her past is in consumer product, consumer packaged goods at Procter and Gamble, as well as fragrances. So it's a great question. Hey, you're dealing with, average price points that are 5 digits. You're talking about $20,000, $30,000 watches. In some cases, $100,000 to $200,000 watches. How do you approach dealing with an extremely wealthy clientele?
That might be different from P&G, that has been a challenge for you to learn about, or that surprised you about that? Or are they that different?
In reality, at P&G, you learn how to read clients, consumers. So you develop the science.
She has her pulse. She has her finger on the pulse of the AP customer, guys. She knows exactly what's going on. She understands the sentiment out there. She knows the customer better than you do. Okay? Better. For all you whining and complaining about you can't get this, you don't think she knows exactly what it takes, exactly who the most important customers are? She knows exactly how to read customers, exactly how to relate to them.
That surprised you about that? Or are they that different?
In reality, at P&G, you learn how to read clients, consumers. So you develop the science of consumers. P&G has been for many, many years a marketing type of school, a school that is oriented to serve the consumers at the best. So that has been actually another element that helped me in this job. But what is different here is that the immateriality of what we sell is much more important than the performance of the product.
Oh, did you catch that? The immateriality. What she's talking about is what they call the augmented product. It's not the product itself. It's everything around the product. It's the feelings you get when you buy the product. It's the experience around the product. It's the emotion of the product. It's how we make you feel. It's how exclusive we are. This is very insightful. Great interview. Very insightful into how she's transforming the company to get back into the Holy Trinity.
That helped me in this job. But what is different here is that the immateriality of what we sell is much more important than the performance of the product. Yes, we sell timepieces that are extremely precious, extremely complex to sell, but really, we sell an emotion and we sell interaction, and we sell intimacy to our clients.
Woo! Emotion, interaction, and intimacy. That's what you get when you work with AP. Intimacy, interaction, and emotion. It's the timepieces, they're complicated. Yeah, we get it. The timepieces are important, but that's not what you're buying. That's not what you're paying 30, 40, 50,000 for. You're paying for intimacy. You're paying for emotion. You're paying for interaction. And that's what AP does better than anyone else. According to AP CEO, Ilaria Resta. Guys, we are in the middle of an exclusive interview with AP CEO Ilaria Resta. If you want to support this channel, do not super chat. Do not super chat, but instead, please click on the link that's pinned at the top of the chat. It will bypass me, bypass YouTube, bypass Google, and it'll go straight to support efforts for those impacted by the Southern California wildfires. So it's a 4-star, 100% rated charity by Charity Navigator. So feel free to drop whatever you can to support those impacted, and your donations will be going to an incredibly good cause. All right, let's talk a little bit more. Let's go back to the interview. Back to the interview, guys.
Extremely complex to sell, but really, we sell an emotion and we sell interaction, and we sell intimacy to our clients. The fact that we now control directly our distribution open up the door for us to create much more than a transaction.
See, we control the distribution, everything from factory to the consumer. There's no middleman, there's no retailers, there's no distributors. We own the relationship with the customer. And because we do that, we can do it better than anyone else.
Sell intimacy to our clients. The fact that we now control directly our distribution open up the door for us to create much more than a transaction.
Are you going to increase supply?
It's not about transactions, guys. We don't want to have transactional relationships with customers, okay? That's not what we want to do. We want to build long-term relationships, emotional, intimate, interactive, engaging relationships with people. Has nothing to do with the watches.
See demand falling? Do you see those waiting lists or opportunities to buy getting any better? And I know that's not the objective of Audemars Piguet, but that is the experience of many people who love these watches and want to buy them.
We are organically growing our production, and we do it in a way, frankly, that will respect another criteria that we have for the future years, which is increasing the level of complication in the mix of our watches. That's why we are expanding our manufacturing.
Wow, we're gonna be doing more complicated watches, guys. If you think that we're gonna offer more three-handers and simple watches, you are mistaken. We have a vision of doing more complicated watches. So if we're gonna grow consistent with doing more complicated watches. If we can't do that, we're not gonna grow. We want to grow respecting our tradition of complications.
Another criteria that we have for the future years, which is increasing the level of complication in the mix of our watches. That's why we are expanding our manufacturing center in Le Brassus, and we have also
expanding their manufacturing center. You heard it here.
Created a center for developing new materials. This is important for us because we don't want to sell watches. We want to sell high-end mechanical timepieces. So our mission is really shifting from really quantity to higher end and quality.
Woo! Shifting from quantity to higher end. Look for more expensive watches coming out of AP. More complications, more tourbillon, more minute repeaters, sonnerie, open work, double balance, exotic materials, more carbon, more bulk metallic glass, more ceramic, more innovative alloys. She's giving you the blueprint, guys. She's telling you exactly what's going to happen. You look out over 1 or 2 years, and this will all come to fruition. Don't say you didn't hear it first, or right here. You're hearing it here first. This is the vision. She's laying it out. Don't say, "Oh, how come they don't make more steel Royal Oaks?" She's telling you exactly what they want to achieve.
So will you perhaps even limit quantity more, and will you move up, I assume, in value and price?
We will not limit the quantity more. We will organically grow because we see, of course, there is huge demand, and but it's an organic growth. But definitely, where the growth will be double digit and continue to be in double digit is on the high complications.
See, she's pretty much telling you she's not lying. We're gonna grow with we're focusing double-digit growth in high complications. It's going to be $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 watches. That's where they want to compete. They're going to compete at the ultra high end. And if you think you want to steal Royal Oak for 35 grand, guess again. If you want to join the panel, here is the link right here. I'm just gonna, when we get to the end of this video, it's over. Just to let you know, I'm not going to be sticking around and doing a whole bunch of commentary after this. Appreciate the fact that there are 35 people watching. Let's get to 25 upvotes, guys. 25 upvotes. Thank you, Buckley, for being in the chat. Boston Collector, Evan G. Shout out to Christopher Negroni, who's in the chat. Good to see Christopher in the chat again. MD Chaz is in the chat too. What's up, MD Chaz? Good to see you. If you're watching right now, please type in a comment in the chat. I'd love to be able to greet you. Kyle D's in the chat. McAllen Drinker. What's up, guys? Exclusive interview with AP CEO Ilaria Resta. Very, very insightful. This is good stuff. And I'm not pausing it and doing 10 minutes of commentary and then playing it for 2 seconds and then going back. I'm actually giving you guys some actual tidbits here. And I'm letting it play through. We're halfway through it already. So I think we'll be done with the whole thing in the next 15, 20 minutes or so. So hang in there. You'll get all of the interview plus great analysis. Shout out to a Doc and his watch too. Doc and his watch is in the chat. Please, guys, consider donating to the link that's pinned at the top of the chat for Southern California fire disaster relief. Huge kudos to Mr. Fahrenheit for his donation, and Boston Collector $100 donation. $100 donation to the fire, to the Southern California fire disaster relief. To all our friends in the LA crew, thoughts and prayers for safety for your family and friends. We support you during this difficult time for your region. Thank you, Boston Collector. Appreciate that. Let's continue with the interview.
The high end. And there are some that require 18 months but definitely where the growth will be double digit and continue to be in double digit is on the high complications, the high end. And there are some that require 18 months from a single watchmaker to do. And the capacity is limited, but also the expertise of watchmakers is limited. And the high end. And there are
capacity
some that
is limited.
18 months.
Capacity is limited. Expertise is limited. We know that. When they say that, they're not lying. Guys, we have a limited number of watchmakers, and we have limited production capabilities. And these watches have innovative materials, complex movements, highly finished movements, and sometimes it takes 18 months to do a single watch.
From a single watchmaker to do. And the capacity is limited, but also the expertise of watchmakers is limited.
And why focus on the very high-end complications?
Because
ooh, what do you think the answer is, guys? What do you think the answer is? Why focus just on the extreme high end, the most complicated watches? Let's see what she says.
To do. And the capacity is limited, but also the expertise of watchmakers is limited.
And why focus on the very high-end complications?
Because that's what
people would say, well, that's just for margin.
No, that's what.
For margin. Who would be so cynical to think that they would focus on the super complicated watches just because those watches are more expensive and give them more margin? I can't imagine how negative and cynical you must be to think such an outrageous notion. Come on, guys. Let's hear the real answer. It has nothing to do with margin, guys. Nothing to do with finances. Okay?
So the expertise of watchmakers is limited.
And why focus on the very high-end complications?
Because that's what
people would say, well, that's just for margin.
No, that's what we have always done.
Ridiculous.
If you look at the pieces, the first pieces in the museum since we were born 149 years ago, you will find the grand complications. You will find sonnerie, which is minute repeater, which is a very complicated complication. That's what you will see. You will see miniaturization, which is extremely difficult to make a mechanical movement small, but still being maybe a perpetual calendar with moon phases. We were born as a complicated watch and a highly complicated watch. And if any, we're going back, we continue going back to where we
I
started.
see.
See, we're being true to our tradition as one of the leading. We want to get back into the Holy Trinity. How do we get back into the Holy Trinity? By respecting the tradition of what our original watchmakers intended, and that is for AP, for Audemars Piguet to be a company of extremely complicated technical timepieces, luxury timepieces with high levels of complication. So we're going back to our roots. Has nothing to do with finances, nothing to do with margin, making money. For you to bring into play these absurd notions and question our integrity is appalling. Is appalling. It's all about going back to our roots and respecting our tradition.
We were born as
We were born this way, guys. We were born to do this. Come on, we were born this way.
a complicated watch and a highly complicated watch. And if any, we're going back, we continue going back to where.
There goes the circle again. The circle. We're going back. Look at the circle she's drawn, guys. Circular leadership, circular logic. We're going back in time.
Faces. We were born as a complicated watch and a highly complicated watch. And if any, we're going back, we continue going back to where we
I
started.
see. Now, there's been a lot of focus on women's watches and perhaps some misunderstandings and stereotypes about what women want in watches, why that end of the watch market is growing. There's a lot of attention on, okay, Laurie's the first woman CEO of one of the big four watch brands, so therefore they're going to go into women's watches. What are some misconceptions that people have
That's
about
already
women watches?
The first misconception is that I've been appointed to launch, because then I should say the same of many men CEO that went into female categories. But
Yes,
I
that's right.
won't make that joke. No, that
Nice.
was not the reason. But said that, definitely in mechanical watchmaking, we see women.
She shot back. You know, I wasn't hired to be CEO of AP to focus on women's watches. That's a misconception. That's a falsehood. The idea that I was picked in order to lead AP into women's watches is just fucking erroneous, guys. I was tapped to be CEO of AP because I'm the best person for the job. I'm the most qualified, and I am going to lead AP into a new era of prosperity. Prosperity not financially driven, but focused on quality, innovation for the future, and a respect for traditional watchmaking.
That's already
women watches.
The first misconception is that I've been appointed to launch, because then I should say the same of many men CEO that went into female categories. But
Yes,
I
that's right.
won't make that joke. No, that was not the reason. But said that, definitely in mechanical watchmaking, we see women growing interest. If you look at the market, the prediction from different studies is that by 2030, 45% of women will buy a mechanical watch. Will not be gifted. And that's another stereotype I want to break.
45%.
45%. And we see it already now. Only in the US, we grew 11.
45% of women will buy a watch by 2030. Okay, I'm a little skeptical of that research. I don't think that makes much sense. I don't think 45, I don't even think 5% of men would consider buying a Swiss watch, let alone women. Let's hear that again.
Growing interest. If you look at the market, the prediction from different studies is that by 2030, 45% of women will buy a mechanical watch. Will not be gifted. And that's another stereotype I want to break. 45%. And we see it already now. Only in the US, we grew 11 basis points in just in a couple of years with women who, again,
11 basis points is nothing. 11 basis points is a tenth of a percent. I mean, that's a tenth of a percent.
Who bought.
That growth is share, or that growth is revenue growth of women? What is that?
It's
11%?
numbers. We look at it from a number standpoint
see.
just to avoid the value
I
effect.
see, got it.
What we see is the number of women entering into a store of Audemars and buying it for themselves.
I see. 11%.
And on purpose, we look at women that way and not the husband buying for woman, because it shows the interest that is starting from the woman. And then many other stereotypes, like women only like small diameters and diamonds, is absolutely proven wrong. Women love diamonds as well as men, and actually they love complications more and more. Our perpetual calendar is one of the favorite complications for women, together with the tourbillon, which is...
Oh, wow. They're going to make women's watches with complications. This is exactly what she said about a year and a half ago. Or maybe a year ago. She said they were going to focus on women's watches and women's watches with complications. And here she is reiterating it. She's doubling down. We're going to go, we're not going to make small watches for women. We're going to make medium-sized watches for women, and they're going to have complications, and they're going to be expensive. And they're not just going to have diamonds all over them. This interview is extremely insightful. Very, very good. I want to remind everybody, please click on the link to donate to Southern California Fire Disaster Relief. We'd really appreciate that. And let's continue along. We have Holden Caulfield in the chat. We got Vimal. What's up? I'm not going to pull up some comments in the chat because we're going to just keep going with the interview. I know you guys really, really care about watching this, so we'll power through it. We have 40 people watching. 25 likes. Thank you guys so much. Let's continue on.
And many other stereotypes, like women on the way and not the husband buying for woman, because it shows the interest that is starting from the woman. And then many other stereotypes, like women only like small diameters and diamonds, is absolutely proven wrong. Women love diamonds as well as men, and actually they love complications more and more. Our perpetual calendar is one of the favorite complications for women, together with the tourbillon, which is not exactly complication, but still is a very complicated feature. And we see women more and more starting to collect watches. We have in our top 50 collectors a good 5% of women. And that's a...
Ooh. Okay. In their top 50 of collectors, and you can maybe use collectors interchangeable with clients or customers. In the top 50, 5% are women. That means, I'm going to say 3. That means 3 of their top 50 are women. Is that bad? No. Is it great? No. But it's at least it's something. 3 out of 50. It's probably there's room to grow for sure. Will it grow more? I don't know. I think 3 out of 50 is pretty good. Hey, we got Mikey in the chat. Big fat super chat, 10 pounds. Thank you so much, Mikey. Evening OC and crew, are they going to release more millinery watches? Those asymmetric dials look all wrong to me. The Royal Oak is on another level. No comparison. I haven't watched the rest of this interview, so I'm not sure she's going to talk about specific collections or specific watches in detail. She's the CEO, so she's talking in 30,000 foot strategy here. And go back and watch the live stream from the beginning. Very, very insightful interview. She basically outlines the entire strategy, focused on quality, on insane obsession on innovation in 3 key areas: the movement, complications, and materials and decoration. So just go back and listen. She provides a complete roadmap on getting AP back into the Holy Trinity. Really appreciate your super chat, Mikey. Let's continue on.
A lot, given we're collectors,
Yeah.
serious collectors.
So, top 50 collect. Do you think in 10, 20 years that number of 5% could grow?
Yes, it will grow, and we see it growing in every region, actually.
And is there a perspective that you've brought to watches that you think will improve the attractiveness of mechanical watches for women? Is there something that you've already seen?
First of all, I'm changing the narrative and the architecture of the brand, and I stop defining watches men watch, women watch. I believe it's wrong that the company, in a way, predefined according to the company
So on the
taste.
website, you're not going to see men's watches, women's watches
No,
anymore.
because it's
just a
false.
watch.
I mean, if there will be certainly watches that we get inspired by women as a design, but it's not for us to tell women this is your watch, and
Or
by
a
the
man
way,
that's not their watch.
this is not the. Then the other way around,
Right?
Because men actually
Yeah.
are now. We launched a watch that's called Flamingo. It's a 34 diameter pink dial. Is it for women? Yes, actually, we have so many men interested into that. We launched a turquoise stone. Men also like it. So I think what I'm trying to say is we will reframe as a company to stereotype by gender watches, because there is nothing that
It's about guys. This is a gender neutral strategy, guys. It doesn't matter how you identify. We don't want to identify our watches as him and her. That's not something that's appropriate going forward. Gender identity is not something we want to engage in going forward. It's not about like Cartier saying his watches for him, watches for her, men's watches, women's watches. No, that's the old way. She's forging ahead with a new narrative, a new paradigm. It's, gender fluid watches, okay? Where you don't have to self-identify as him or her. You can be they, you can be it, you can be whatever. And that's the strategy going forward. Case in point, let me look at this watch. Is this a watch for women because it has a salmon dial, or is it a lot of men like this? So there you go. And the turquoise as well. Maybe men want turquoise. She brings up a great point. Buckley says Audemars Piguet is a great brand. Top 5 without question. Until they fix the entry issue, they will not be known for a kosher journey. It's a good point, Buckley. By the way, one of the things that she didn't iterate, but I'm sure is top of mind, is not only are they gender fluid, but they're probably religion fluid as well. They don't want people to identify as kosher or non-kosher. They support vegans. They support everything. I think it's a very open and accepting brand. And they are on their way back to the Holy Trinity. Thank you, Buckley. Let's continue on.
Dial. Is it for women? Yes, actually, we have so many men interested into that. We launched a turquoise stone. Men also like it. So I think what I'm trying to say is we will reframe as a company to stereotype by gender watches, because there is nothing that is.
We're going by, guys. We're reframing and we're going by. AP is now by.
Genderized of a watch, except there is a certain ergonomy of the watch, like the size, that of course can be more or less comfortable for certain wrists that are small or big. Apart from that, women can understand and read a watch.
It's not about if you're a guy or a girl. It's about your wrist span, guys. It's all about wrist span.
Ergonomy of the watch, like the size, that of course can be more or less comfortable for certain wrists that are small or big. Apart from that, women can understand and read a watch as much as the men. And by the way, they can buy it. So there is a lot that is changing for me on the segmentation, how we ideate for watches. Internally, we are stopping the language of this is a man watch, is a women watch. In store, we will change the narrative of selling, and we will not genderize watches anymore. This is very old and is not going to happen anymore. But definitely will continue to be inspired by men and women.
And you're doing that not to be sort of make a political statement. You're doing that as a commercial statement.
I make it as a client centricity statement, which is one of the strategy which started implementing it. Is we just want to reflect the society and the clients that they buy us.
We need to reflect society. We need to reflect our clientele. And when our clientele is bi, guys, they don't identify as a man or a woman. They don't see themselves that way. They don't look at their wrist and go, this is a man's wrist or a woman's wrist. They don't look at a dial and go, that's a man's dial or a woman's dial. They're far more progressive than that. Our clientele is progressive. Speaking of progressive, we have Mathis in the chat. Mathis with a £5 super chat. Did they also combine bathrooms at her office? Buckley had a mean lunch. Maybe he can stop by. Yes, there might be gender-specific bathrooms that we need to get away from that narrative. Got Think Real in the chat. We got ZD, Julius Caesar. What's up, everybody? Thank you for your comments. Let's keep going. This is very insightful.
I make it as a client centricity statement, which is one of the strategy which started implementing it. Is we just want to reflect the society and the clients that they buy us. They do not want to be genderized. And by the way, so many other categories did it before us, starting from beauty, fashion. Yeah. We are the late laggards here, stopping genderization of products or colors or shapes, which is absolutely not in line with the social trends. So we're just reflecting what society wants.
And then lastly, if you look at the cycles of the watch market, we had this incredible ramp up in 2021 post-pandemic. Things have softened quite a bit on the pre-owned, certainly on the new watches. What are you seeing in the marketplace? And is that a tough thing for the company? Is it a positive thing for the company?
Well, we'll see it in the luxury market and watchmaking as well, that there are contingent factors and more structural factors that drove the decline overall of the luxury market and the watchmaking market. I think a lot has to do also on mistakes that some brands and company have done in taking too much advantage of the growth desire of clients, and we've seen the increase of prices. Raising prices, but also becoming lazy in terms of innovation.
Ooh, shots fired. Who is she talking about? Who is she talking about? Other brands have been resting on their laurels and they've been lazy. Not AP, however. Yeah, some brands took advantage of the market, took advantage of the situation. Not AP. They didn't do it. They did not do that. This is fascinating. Let's go back. Let's listen to that again.
Decline overall of the luxury market and the watchmaking market. I think a lot has to do also on mistakes that some brands and company have done in taking too much advantage of the growth desire of clients, and we've seen the increase of prices. Raising prices, but also becoming lazy in terms of innovation, in pushing creativity further. And you see, in fact, now it's a very polarized performance. Now you see big winners and big loser. Before, frankly, it was an easy win for most of the companies. And the big winners have common elements, and we belong to the big winners. So I'm excited that we manage first to continue investing in innovation, meaningful innovation that in a way is relevant for clients and it corresponds to what clients want and add value. Second is value creation. Price is one of the many other components of the value equation, like, again, innovation, but creativity is super important. The use of
creativity, guys, things like exciting collaborations, being creative with materials, being creative with partnerships and collaborations. You guys want creativity. You want way more creativity. It's not just about the product. It's value. They're creating value for you by being innovative and creative.
continue investing in innovation, meaningful innovation that in a way is relevant for clients and it correspond to what clients want and add value. Second is value creation. Price is one of the many other components of the value equation, like again innovation, but creativity is super important. The use of materials that are a certain craft, as well as the service, because the service
Certain materials, they're going to continue to invest in new materials. She's already talked about it. Things like bulk metallic glass, carbon, ceramic, new alloys like sand, gold, etc. She is walking the talk.
also during the years of crisis was one of the key watch out, right? The complaints of queues outside, the way you have been treated in store.
Yeah.
These are were shortcuts to grow fast and accelerate the transactions that ultimately some companies are paying. So
service, guys. Service is the third part. Service. Great service. Everyone knows the way you're treated in the store is very important, and that is paramount for them.
Like again, innovation, but creativity is super important. The use of materials that are a certain craft, as well as the service, because the service also during the years of crisis was one of the key watch out, right? The complaints of queues outside, the way you have been treated in store. These are were shortcuts to grow fast and accelerate the transactions that ultimately some companies are paying. So the winners are the ones that have been sticking to their strategy of quality, creativity, and innovation, and the others are not.
Woo! Okay. Great interview. That is the end. If anybody wants to jump on and provide any analysis or reaction, I will drop the link. Boom, there is the link to the panel. There's also a link pinned to support the disaster relief efforts in Southern California. Please consider donating to that in lieu of a super chat. It's better that you just donate to that instead of the super chats. Would appreciate it. Holy crap. There is 50 people watching. How did that happen? 50 people? Very, very cool. Guys, jump on the panel. AB's in the chat says, I still don't understand why I'm turned away at the AP boutique because I didn't have an appointment, yet there are no customers inside. AB, it's about, listen, they're very, very busy. I know you don't think they have customers inside, but they're extremely busy. And it's just courteous. It's a courteous thing to do to make an appointment, just to not waste your time. You know, that way they can appropriately serve you. So in an effort to ensure that your time is not wasted, to show respect for you, the customer, it's best if you schedule a dedicated time to meet with our brilliant team so we can ensure that you get the quality service and the attention that you deserve. So I think that makes sense. In order to treat you the best way possible, please make an appointment because of our unparalleled commitment to you, the customer, and to make sure that you have the best possible experience. Okay, listen, I'm going to give the 5-minute warning. 5-minute warning. If anybody wants to jump on, you can jump on and talk about this or talk about anything else. But 5-minute warning, and we will move on. I will move on to other things. But I just wanted to fire up a live stream to bring you this breaking news exclusive interview with AP CEO Ilaria Resta. She definitely showed a significant command of the company, the industry, and her customers. Got Boston Collector in the chat. He says, great interview, knocked it out of the park. I agree. This is why AP will continue to dominate while others pump out the same old boring watches with a small tweak. Yeah, definitely. She made it very, very clear their commitment to innovation is something that's driving the company. They are absolutely obsessed with innovation. Innovation in three key areas: innovation in complications, which is not just new complications, but making existing complications work better, easier to use, miniaturization in the area of materials, radically new materials, and in decoration. And that is like design, creativity, and looks. I agree, Boston Collector. Great, fantastic interview. Guys, this is who's leading AP into the future. I think we can all feel inspired and confident that AP is on the right track. And I don't want to comment too much about the Southern California wildfire situation, other than our hearts and best wishes are with those impacted by this situation. I've had a couple of close personal friends who have been impacted, and it's been very, very tough. On a personal note, my very dear friends, Paris Hilton lost one of her Malibu mansions in this tragedy. Great place. I mean, we made a lot of memories there. So, yeah, my heart goes out to Paris Hilton in this terrible time, and Chrissy Teigen and John Legend, dear friends of mine. One of their Beverly Hills mansions was, well, nothing happened to it, but they had to leave suddenly. And everything's okay. They're fine. But Chrissy Teigen, John Legend, and their 4 dogs had to leave suddenly without a lot of notice, and they had to spend the night at the penthouse at the Beverly Hills Hotel, which is only 2,400 square feet. So you can imagine that's a tremendous inconvenience with 4 dogs. So best wishes to them on being able to deal with this terrible tragedy for them. But there are other people impacted as well. So Holden Caulfield, does your love of Audemars Piguet override your objectivity of this interview, or is AP that good? Listen, AP was kicked out of the Holy Trinity, so it's not all about love and kisses for AP. They definitely need to work hard to get back on track. So I'm not a blind loyalist to AP. They have to do their fair share. Are you starting a GoFundMe for Paris Hilton? No, I don't think that's necessary. I don't think that's required. I think, listen, it has been extremely painful to lose one. If I lost one of my Malibu mansions, I would be heartbroken. Paris and I had a great time. So many great memories there. And we had a great time at that particular mansion. And we have a lot of home movies and videos that we made. She's terrific woman. So, but yeah, one of her mansions is gone. But no need to make a GoFundMe. Come on. Whole Milk says AP is now back in my Holy Trinity. I'm not going to give them a pass just yet. I don't think they're back in. So Buckley says OC doesn't love AP. He's a paid lobbyist. He's a Rolex guy. I do love Rolex. I'm wearing Rolex right now, as a matter of fact. Don't believe me? Check it out. Yeah, we're in the Rolex day date in platinum with the ice blue dial. I love Rolex and I love the day date. Jonathan Smith in the chat. We got Think Real in the chat. Prediction: OC will have one Rolex left by the end of 2025. The great purge is coming for everyone. Guys, consolidate your collection. Consolidate your collection. Guys, 2 minutes left. 2 minutes. And I'm going to move on to something different and more important, which means I'm off the stream. Someone wants to jump on the stream. That's great. But I want to thank Boston Collector again for your contribution to the Southern California Fire and Disaster Relief. Thank you to Mr. Fahrenheit as well for your donation. If you want to bypass me, bypass YouTube, and support the disaster relief efforts, not just Paris Hilton and Chrissy Teigen and John Legend, who've been obviously tremendously impacted by this, but I'm talking about real people who lost their jobs, lost their homes, lost their businesses. That is the lake. All right. Thanks, you guys, for watching. I really appreciate it. Upvote the live stream on your way out. If you can get us the 30 likes on the way out, that'd be fantastic. But thanks so much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and tell your friends. The Original OC channel on YouTube. Peace out. Have a great afternoon, everybody.